This is the Ron Purtee Show. The Ron Purtee Show.
All right, everybody, we're back, and I'm here. This is like the third or fourth time you've been on the program in one form or another, Terry. You need to get you a gold blazer now or something, or put you in a Hall of Fame. Everybody, Terry Moore. Yay!
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
Hey, anytime. You're always welcome. Always welcome. I have a very short list of revolving door. People can use the revolving door, and you're on that list. So
nice. Thank you.
Now, before we get into the new Strangers in Paradise, which I literally just read, I waited until this just so I could have it fresh in my brain. But we'll get into that in a second. But I want to talk really briefly about Motor Girl. Couple of things I wanted to know off the top of my head, and if you haven't read Motor Girl, I'm probably going to spoil it for you. Go out and get there's a hardcover that's available. Is it still available through the website?
Now that's a tricky question. I don't know. You're talking about I don't know.
The one that you're only
that's
doing
a Robin
1,000
question.
of.
Yeah, that's a Robin question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that we went through half of them like in the day one, but I don't know. Go check the website and see. There's actually a place on our website where you can go and order the new omnibus, and then if you pre-order this special edition from us, you get all kinds of perks and stuff like that. And I like to make that special edition of a series when I wrap it up. It's kind of a thank you to the people that have supported me and like to have something on their bookshelf. A book, a forever book.
Yeah, I just picked up the new sketch collection, which is very, very cool. Now, is that omnibus, or I guess you could call it that, because it's two trades, right? Is that going to be only available through you, or is that at some point going to be available through Diamond?
Oh, it is a Diamond book as well. Okay. Our normal routine is to have a hardcover and a soft cover come out through Diamond for reading and printing of that hardcover. That's our plan, and then the soft cover is our perennial. So there's going to be a hardcover to choose from. It's only $10 more than the soft cover, and then for another $10 over that is, the Abstract Studio one where you get a print and stuff like that. And they all three have different covers, so you can tell them apart just by looking at them from across the room.
Well, there you go, fantastic. That's just more for my buddy Bob to buy from you.
That's how we do it.
Because we
kind of did the same.
He swears by you. So.
We did the same thing on Strangers in Paradise and Echo and Rachel Rising, and it was just fun. And people like to have be able to choose which one they want.
Oh yeah, definitely. It makes it very collectible. Now, when it comes to Motor Girl, when you set out to do this series, did you have an ending in mind?
Yes.
Because
I knew.
Because when I first heard that the last issue's coming out in a couple months, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Well, the game plan was to plan it as a 10-issue series, and if something wonderful happened and it just kind of took off and became really popular, we could go on. I had more story in my head, but it was devised to be this one particular summer in her life, where she has this big past and everything comes to a head in this one summer, and we capture that in the 10-issue story.
Now, is there anything perhaps on the horizon for a sequel? Yes,
I kind of, the ending implies that, of course, she goes on, but she does take a little token of her mental friend with her, and I have a feeling that he will always be there for her when she needs him. So, she's a pretty brave person, which means that at some point she's going to stand up for somebody, and there you go. Now we have action again.
Hey, and that there's nothing wrong with that. I was a big fan of Rachel, as you know, but Motor Girl, for some reason, I don't know what it was, just really kind of resonated with me, and I love that book, and I tell everybody who hasn't read it to read it. If you don't have the cash to pick up the big collection, the trades are available, right?
Yeah, I can read it all free.
There you go. It's a fantastic It's a fantastic book. You need to check it out. Now let's get into the meat of the matter here, sir. Let's talk about Strangers in Paradise. Now, the first one ended on I guess you could say a kind of a happy note in a way. Now, does that mean that this one is going to end on a horribly destructive and heartbreaking note?
That would be a dirty trick. I don't know. I don't think you want to get a big, reunion thing going just so you can blow up the room. No, that was not in my head. Your mind went to a dark place there, Ron. I think my whole motivation for writing this sequel, or it's not even a sequel, it's just more of it. I was looking at people like the Sherlock Holmes and all the Agatha Christie books with her ongoing characters, and she didn't stop at the first Poirot book. She wrote more, and the guy didn't stop with the first Sherlock Holmes book. He wrote more of them. So when the character of a lifetime, you tend to, they always stay with you, and that Kachu is definitely my character of a lifetime. I was lucky to come up with that, and then you invest yourself so much in them that they're a part of you. It becomes part of your self-definition. Oh, I'm the guy who created Kachu, or Charles Schultz was the guy who created Snoopy and Peanuts. So I mean, that's your thing. I just couldn't walk away, and I left myself an open door to come back, which was an unfinished detail in the story. So they're coming back to clean up an unfinished detail, and really that's all you need as motivation for a writer, is just some reason, something left undone, something has to be done, and so I left that door open, and here we are. It's time to clean up the mess that somebody left in the first series.
Well, all I gotta say is, if you haven't read the first issue, pick it up. And I love how you just, within the first few pages, automatic destruction of property. It's just like, why not? Just kick a big hole in the wall.
I think I think about bands that try to get back together, and then you see them on TV and they're just awful. Because they're still trying to do what they did before, but now they're like 85 years old. So I didn't want to somebody open up the new Strangers in Paradise, and it's the girls sitting in a rent house arguing on the couch. And I think some people expected that, like, oh, you will find them shopping and talking about boys. And I really, in my mind, Strangers in Paradise was never like that. So I wanted to be sure that the story reflects the current times we live in. People have changed, society's changed. I think the risks are higher now for some characters. So I really enjoyed coming up with the new storyline. It was a fresh breath of fresh air for me, because I really didn't want my epic story of Strangers in Paradise to become like Seinfeld, something that's dated in very 80s and 90s.
Oh, it really is.
Yeah, it's hard to go back and look at things from the 90s. They're very. It's like watching people in bell bottoms, or Laura Ashley dresses or something. So I wanted to be sure to. I'm loving this chance to update and keep my series, my favorite series, current.
Well, that's good. That's not many people get a chance to do things like that. I think was it Matt Wagner brought Mage back? Is it Matt Wagner? Yeah, I think so. But I haven't read it, so I can't speak as to how well he's updated it. But it's good to see when somebody can bring back something that they love and not have it be a bad thing, not just a cash grab. You know what I mean? Because so many people do that, and it's good to see that there's love for content and property and so forth, and all that kind of thing. Now, how long is this? Is this going to be an ongoing thing?
I have to. I say nothing I have ever done has ended up being a cash grab. There's no cash. There's very little cash involved, so everything is a labor of love. So my motivation,
which is good to see. Which is good to see, because you don't see it enough. Now, is this series going to go on for as long as the first one did, or is there a definite endpoint to this?
No, times have changed. Comic shops, I don't think a comic shop wants a 300-issue indie series. So I've planned on 10 issues. It's just something I want to do during 2018 because 2018 is the 25th anniversary of Strangers in Paradise. So this is kind of like, we've been planning this for 2 years to come back and have this series going on during our anniversary year. And so it's just plotted like Motor Girl was to be 10 issues. If, a miracle happened and it proved to be a lot of readers that were making store number orders go up, then I could keep going. I could chew for the rest of my life with no problem whatsoever. But I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to make a good story and get in and get out in 10 issues if I have to, and be happy that I had the opportunity.
There you go. Now you're one of the few writers that I know of that can really write a strong female character. What do you think is attributes to that?
I don't know. I guess it's. I think I am female centric in my what I've paid attention to my whole life, in terms of in terms of looking at what people have to go through, other people besides me, and because I was raised in a house of women, where my dad was working all the time, absentee father, so I just kind of always was aware of what the women were going through, and I think it shaped me into who I am today. I had my sister was my best friend, my mother was a good mother, so. I've never been perfect. I've made mistakes, and I've never won an argument with a woman. I've lost every argument I've ever had with a woman.
Same here.
And so, I'm writing about it because I'm not writing about women because I'm the woman whisperer. I'm just as befuddled as everybody else by this mysterious creature that we all adore and share the planet with, and I'm just amazed. So I write about women because it's, in general, I guess I just have to say I love the topic. I really have a lot of empathy for what they have to go through walking on a planet full of predators.
Yeah, we are. I hate to say it, but we are a bunch of predators. It's true. I think some of us.
Well, you don't read about.
Yeah, some of us are still learning how to grunt.
Yeah, you don't really read about women attacking men nonstop, or women serial killers, or women gunning down 500 people. So yeah, I think it's pretty obvious who's who. But there are a lot of good men out there, and the women are looking for them. And there's my story.
There you go. Now let's go back a little bit more. What was your first introduction into comic books? Not what got you into creating, but what was the first comic? Do you remember what the first comic you read was that kind of like turned you onto the whole genre?
I think the first thing I remember reading was Sugar and Spike and Dennis the Menace, and I was a little bitty kid, and both of them just kind of showed me a fun way to live. You could be goofy and make little adventures out of nothing, like Sugar and Spike, or you could be like Dennis the Menace and roam the neighborhood and be precocious and have fun that way. Or once in a while, he would take a trip, like to Washington D.C. And it showed me a fun way to live. And then just a few years later, I'm reading Spider-Man, and they're showing me this, young teenager who can suddenly climb the walls of his bedroom, and how fun is that? So it was just the imagination of it all, like finding really great movies that spark your imagination. But you had to get into the story. So I got it from a very early age. I think I was reading comic books in first grade as soon as I learned to read.
Yeah, see, I remember my first issue was an X-Men issue. God, right before the giant push to print 9 million copies of a comic back in the 90s.
Oh, well, how old were you?
I was like 13, 14. And I went to
you kind of waited a long time to read your first comic book.
I did. I went to like this little tiny bookstore, and he had a rack, like a newsstand full of comics. And I was just kind of looking around. I remember the first issue was an X-Men book, and that got me hooked on the X-Men. And then the second one was Deathlock, which I was just like, wow, he's like half man, half whatever this is. And then at that point, I mean, I really got into the X-Men and like X Factor and stuff like that. So that was, I didn't have any kind of exposure to Spider-Man growing up or anything like that. I remember watching the Hulk TV show as a little kid, and he scared the living hell out of me. And when I actually met Lou Ferrigno at I think it was Wizard World a few years ago, I shook his hand, and it was kind of like that scene in King of the Hill when Hank shakes George W. Bush's hand. I don't know if you're familiar. Yeah, but yeah, that's exactly what. So I'll let people figure that out for themselves. I'm not going to get any more into that, but let's get into a couple of listener questions here. I have this one. Are you planning on doing any special poster art for the new series?
Well, yeah. There is an iconic drawing from 1992 or 93, and it was used to promote the first issue. And I'm using it as my little icon on the cover of the Abstract Studio icon. For 2018, for the anniversary year, I've changed it from the triangle to this image. So it looks like the old-fashioned days where Image Comics would have a little, piece of art over there in the top left of the cover.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm doing that with this little graphic that used to be a poster back then. And we'll release it this year as a print as well, and a T-shirt. So, yeah, very excited about that. It's awesome. Fun. It's very... I've posted it online. If you follow me on Instagram, they can see it.
Well, the person who asked that question doesn't even have a Facebook, so I don't think they have an Instagram, so I'm going to have to dig for it and send it to them. Next question is, now obviously you're not going to want to give any spoilers away, but is there any hope for Casey's return?
You know what? Casey is out there running around and putting her nose in everybody's business. I'm sure that she will find a way to check on what we're doing. And, Casey and Tammy kind of ended up as really close friends. Really, really close. And when you read Echo, you see Tammy and Casey together in Echo. So, yeah. Casey's part of the family. She's the core group. It wouldn't be Strangers in Paradise without her.
Well, there you go. All right, now that actually leads into the next question. Will there be crossover cameos with Echo, Rachel Rising, and or Motor Girl, kind of like them passing in an airport or something like that? Just kind of like fan service. They're looking for fan service, this person, apparently. Can you give us any hints?
Well, yeah, I can tell you that, everybody knows it's all one Terryverse. So all these people could run into each other. And I like the idea that everything I've done before was really just setting this story up. So this is my cast. Every series I've done is my cast. So I really want to use them and put them all together for fun.
Well, I can't wait to see who shows up.
So yeah. I mean, in Strangers in Paradise, absolutely.
This is gonna be great. And this is a joke question, but I figured I'd ask because I'm sure you'll get a chuckle out of it. Is David gonna be back? Maybe as a Jedi Force ghost.
Okay, yeah, you got me to chuckle. You mean, is David sitting on a rock somewhere meditating his way into the story?
Yeah, is David going to end up being in another movie that just isn't really that great?
My version would be David would be in a Starbucks far, far away, meditating his way into the Houston story. in my world, if a character dies, they stay dead. Consequences are real. So, I don't know. We probably shouldn't even answer that question. That's going to be a spoiler for somebody who hasn't read Strangers in Paradise. So you may have to delete all this, but
it's been a long time. They can, if they haven't read it by now,
they should know.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and tell them what happened to Bobby Ewing then.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I do love the story behind that Bobby Ewing thing. How it was all just a big soap commercial, and they just like paused for like 10 seconds, and then like he's if you watch the actual clip, it's like he's like, and you'll have a good morning too if you use Zest.
Well, see, that's why you shouldn't accidentally shoot things you don't mean to have on air.
Exactly.
Sorry, I forgot what the question.
Oh, about David coming back, and I think what you're trying to say is, in your universe, dead is dead. You should write for Valiant because they're the same way, which I appreciate so much. I hate all this. Oh, this person's coming back, and this person's coming back. Now, I'm not pointing and whistling at any comic book companies, Marvel, but I just kind of. I appreciate that because it shows that there's consequences to things that happen, and David will be in our hearts.
Yes, he's in our hearts, but my stories do have a spiritual side to them, kind of like a spiritual. Like there is some sort of next world, and there's actually a character, the Angel of Death, in my cast that she showed every series except for Echo. So there are gateways. In my world, there's more than just 3D.
And people do. Yeah, well, there you go, folks. You got that. And plus, people do dream, and you dream of people who have passed. So,
well, that's true. And I always wanted to. My basic rule is I want to write stories that happen in Einstein's universe, where theoretically these things are plausible, and there's cause and effect. I don't have a flying character who flies for no freaking reason whatsoever. That kind of stuff,
Yeah.
So then somebody may shout out, okay, well, Echo is all BS. Well, no, at least I made up a lot of faux science to kind of explain it.
There you go.
It's sort of kind of possible, like cloning NFL stadiums. It's easy to clone a sheep. You try to clone an NFL stadium with a little, petri dish and see how you do. So anyway, I like having a little set of rules, and because there is, my usual 3-dimensional and the plausibility of 4-dimensional and all that, I like to kind of skirt around with that stuff in my stories.
Well, there you go. That's fantastic. And now, when does issue 2 come out?
As soon as I finish it. I really am drawing it. It's on the drawing table right now. People think I'm months ahead, like I was organized, but no, I'm still drawing it, and I think it's scheduled for March 7. I think it's on the calendar here that I'm looking at in the office.
So we're kind of looking at more of like a every other month for the books.
No, we did deliberately. The time between issue 1 and issue 2 is 8 weeks on purpose to make sure everybody got issue 1 and give retailers a chance to see issue 1 before they had to order issue. So that we're trying to prevent that awful syndrome of they order 1 million copies of issue 1 and 10 copies of issue 2. There's a terrible drop in sales for the second and third issue. And if you start off low on issue 1, then the orders on issue 2 and 3 can actually just tank the entire company and kill the book. And it's a very high wire, risky gambling game. So between 1 and 2, we did the Billy Tucci trick with She of let people see 1 before they have to order 2. But from then on, from 2 to 10. It will be 6 weeks, and they'll be, one right on top of the other. Bam, bam, bam.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And I like that you're approaching this intelligently. The story's great, and I love having you on every time. And I will see you at C2E2, sir. I'm going to come up and I'm going to shake your damn hand. I'm going to have you sign my Motor Girl.
Oh, that's good, because I have a blessed hand and a damned hand, so I'll have to be sure to hand you the damn hand.
Exactly, because I want to walk around. I want to walk around C2E2 just like molting, and just be like, Terry Moore killed me.
What happened to your hand, man? Oh, I touched his damn hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, I look forward to meeting you at last. We've done a couple of shows together, and I've always enjoyed it. So I hope you have a good time at C2E2. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for letting me come on the show.
Oh, no problem. Everybody go pick up Strangers in Paradise. Issue 1 is available right now at your local nerdery. I feel safe saying that because I hang out in one. So thank you very much again, Terry, and we'll be right back.
This is the Ron Purtee Show. The Ron Purtee Show.